Latest now on that story, we cross live to our reporter Griselda Lewis. She's at the North Gauteng High Court this morning. Griselda, a very good morning to you once again. Talk us through what's expected in court today.
Well, a very good morning to you, Ayanda. Yes, pre-sentencing arguments begin this morning here at the North Gauteng High Court in the trial of Oscar Pistorius. Well, it's an opportunity for both sides to convince the court for a very last time of the appropriate sentence that Oscar Pistorius should face. You'd know, of course, last month he was found guilty on culpable homicide, and you'll know that in South Africa it does not carry a minimum sentence. So Oscar Pistorius could face anything from a fine to a suspended sentence up to 15 years imprisonment. But many of the experts who we've spoken to say that really the discretion here lies with Judge Thokozile Masipa. She would need to take into account all these circumstances before she gives or hands down that sentence. But certainly we'll see the state really try to push in aggravation of sentence to try and get Oscar Pistorius behind bars. And of course, we'll see the defense who will start today in mitigation of sentence. We want to see as well which witnesses they plan to call. But to give us the very latest on the expectation inside court today and what the defense is expected to bring up, I'm chatting now to Laurie James, who is the resident legal expert here on SABC News. Laurie, as always, thank you very much for your time this morning. Let's look at the defense as they start here today. What are they expected to focus on in mitigation of sentence?
Well, the defense is here to present in mitigation. So that means all the factors that they can possibly think of that will make the sentence lighter. Now, one must remember that sentencing is an individualized process. So the individual character of Oscar Pistorius, the fact that he is a first offender, that always carries a fair amount of weight. They will also try to demonstrate that it was clear from his behavior in court that he is deeply remorseful for his actions, with, you know, the fact that he was vomiting and crying, and it's obviously deeply affecting him. I think we could see a lot of Dr. Scholz, I think, will testify. It's my idea. We need to see the psychological, the fact that we've had post-traumatic stress disorder alluded to, the fact that he's not sleeping, how this case is affecting him. I think we may see a medical expert to explain how you know, the physical disabilities and how that would make a prison term extremely difficult for him because of the physical challenges. And then I think we'll see a couple of extra things. I think we might see the fact that the case has been a public trial and that he's had to endure public humiliation, and that in itself is punitive. You know, there are a lot of factors that we could see, but I think those will be the major ones.
I want to talk about culpable homicide. We don't have a minimum sentence for it. So Oscar Pistorius, there are a number of scenarios here. If you could just paint that for us, that Oscar Pistorius, that could face in this matter.
Well, he could face a fine. He could face a correctional supervision sentence, in which case he would serve the sentence at home and have to do community service and these sorts of things. A sentence plan would be put into place with that. And then we could see a prison sentence wholly suspended even. We could see a prison sentence partly suspended. But I can't see that we'd see a prison sentence for more than 15 years. In fact, you know, I'm sort of looking at lighter. I think that he won't spend too much time incarcerated.
Just finally, Laurie, as well, the state, you know, they might call witnesses as well. We've spoken to the NPA. They're playing their cards very close to their chest about who might possibly be called in this matter. But where would you see the state go in terms of witnesses?
From my personal feeling, again, I have watched Dr. Gerard Labuschagne sit in court right through this trial. He is the head of the psychological investigations unit for SABC. I wouldn't be surprised to see him called in aggravation. He's also a clinical psychologist, and he's testified in aggravation in many, many matters. So that would explain his permanent presence in court. I would, if I was them, I would perhaps look at a victim impact statement from Reeva's family, or perhaps even Reeva's family themselves on the stand. I think that the aggravatings they will put forward are the fact that he's continued with impulsive behavior. Although he's a first offender, there's a pattern of criminal behavior. He speeds, he drives too fast, he continues with aggressive behavior. We saw the nightclub incident while he was out on bail. That could come back to bite him at this point. It's very individual. The focus now is on Oscar. It's no longer on the law, it's on what he is. Who is Oscar Pistorius as a person, and what would be an appropriate sentence for Oscar?
Always very insightful. Thank you very much, Laurie James here, the resident legal expert here on SABC News. But certainly outside the court here, the media continue to set up. They're back again after several days, of course. We also see Metro Police as well cordoning off certain sections here outside the court, of course, to allow the media some space. We're also waiting to see the Steenkamps as well as the Pistoriuses arrive and what their reaction would be after this very short break. It's back to you in the studio, Ayanda.
My thanks to you, Griselda Lewis. We'll continue to check in with you for the latest developments. Do stay with us for the very latest coming from the North Gauteng High Court.